What's that D stand for?
Um,
Hello, everybody. Card Dreamer here, coming at you on behalf of D Class. And today I'm bringing you a special surprise video that I had. I just figured it was time. I've been requested to do this before. So today, I thought I would show off what I have on my Super Nintendo Classic or Mini, whatever you want to call it. Um, Now, I'm not hugely proficient. I don't get into the huge details. Not that I don't know how to, but I don't have custom borders or anything like that. I actually like a lot of what the game does by default, or not the game, the console does by default. So I don't want to really change a lot. I like the music. I like the backgrounds it shows. I like the interaction. So I wanted to keep it all. But this is the main menu. And as you can see, I definitely have done some work on the system. I have all custom folders. I have a variety of different types of folders, and sometimes they change just based on my mood. Some I'm using until I can find better ones, but I haven't yet. It's just a whole slew of different things. Um, so, if you want to go back to the the beginning of the menus, I started Battletoads. So, right off the bat, I don't have these separated by the game console like a lot of people do. I don't see a need to do that for me personally. I get why people do it. Don't get me wrong, but for me, I don't want to have to go. Let's say, if I'm looking for a Mario game or something or a franchise that has so many games on it spread across a couple of different systems, I don't want to go here or here or here. If I want Mario games, let's just go to a Mario folder. If I want Zelda games, let's just go to a Zelda folder. So that's how I prefer to do it. But anyway, started Battletoads. And we'll take a look at which games I have in every folder. There's going to be a little bit of a video. And as you can see, though, I don't have a whole lot of Battletoads, but I try to keep it towards like 4 or more games get their own folder. You're going to see some that are less, and there's going to be special reasons for that. But the original Battletoads, obviously, Battletoads Double Dragons. This is the arcade title. I try to put arcade in parentheses just so I know whoever's playing the system knows that this was an actual arcade. Um, and it's hard to find art or good art for arcade games. So, unfortunately, that's another one of those. I keep looking every now and then, although I'm pretty happy with the Battletoad ones. I don't think I'll ever want to change that one. But and I try to keep all the game art for the box art as nice as possible. In Castlevania, I have a couple different folders I go back and forth between on the art wise, but this is another one that I've definitely added a variety of games. First one, Castlevania Chronicles for PlayStation, to the Game Boys, Game Boy Advance, even gotta have Bloodlines from Genesis on there, and yes, the SNES Mini can play, and the NES Mini can play DS games, full speed. So that, which is awesome. I can't go past that, but it can definitely do it, and it's awesome. And so yeah, have them on there. Dracula X. Now, see, sometimes I also do this because I want to be able to play the original experience, but at the same time, I don't know Japanese or what have you, or whatever language sometimes are recorded in, so I have translated. So I put both on there depending on what kind of mood a person who's playing the system is in. Now, unfortunately, that's the one thing I don't like, is the system always wants to revert back to a specific position. But, regardless of the hack or not, that's how it always was. As many of the Contra games I could get. I never even knew there was a Contra 4 for the longest time, so I thought that was cool. Arcade, NES title. as many of the Crash games as I could find. And you know, not every box art is exactly what I would like. I like the art styles that are like this one that I'm highlighted on. However, sometimes the best ones I can find are that one. Also, another thing I didn't get super picky on, but I did try to change if I could remember, was the number of players the game actually is. I mean, if it was a 2-player game, I would try to mark that off, but I don't always know. Now, these are games based on DC Comics, and got Teen Titans there. And these are all my Batman games. These are just Justice League themed ones, and these are Superman. Love the Batman folder. Quite a variety of games here. Yes, I have Turbo Graphics on here. Another arcade. Now, I'm not saying these are all good games per se. A lot of these I haven't played yet, but I look forward to doing so. I have a variety now to mess with. It's kind of what I like about this being hack. I can explore and try new games. Now, this is a special case. This was not actually released for the Super Nintendo. It was in production. I believe the game was just about finished. However, for whatever reason, it never released. But there was a Sega Genesis version. There was an NES version. I think this is the unreleased game. Now, some of these I keep I do both versions of a game because there might be some differences I like. I kind of like the art style a little bit in the Genesis version, even though I like the Super Nintendo controls and all better for pretty much any fighting game. I always like the Super Nintendo better than Genesis. That was just a controller preference, but and Superman, you know, he my man. I love Superman. This is a tough game that I'm still getting used to the controls and figuring out what to do. I love this arcade game. I only played it a couple times in a legit arcade. I love it. It's actually 2 players, as you can see. I did mark that. Be nice if I had better art for the arcade, but that's as good as I can find. It's not too shabby. It's just a fun beat 'em up. Can't argue that. I even done a let's play of it. Some of these I haven't played yet. Death of Superman is another fabulous brawler. I love that. I think it was very underrated for the Super Nintendo and Genesis. The artwork is pretty darn good. Yes, there are things where you can tell that they save money. For instance, there's only one music track throughout the entire game, but it works throughout the entire game. That's what's really like. They made things work, and it was really good. So I love that game. I've beaten it a few times. I did a let's play of that as well. This is my Donkey Kong. Yeah, got every Donkey Kong game I could think of at the time to get in here. Except for the Game Boy versions of Donkey Kong Country. I didn't see the need to have both that and the actual Super Nintendo version. Double Dragons, got the NES version, arcade, NES version, arcade, NES version, arcade, Super Nintendo. I feel like I'm missing some, but I don't know for sure. So I love this folder. It's a shame there isn't better games to put in this. Some of these were only released in Europe, so that's also what's nice about hacking your Super Nintendo or NES Classic, is that region doesn't matter. So I love Ghostbusters. It's one of my favorite franchises. So I'll give them these games a shot. The notoriously bad Ghostbusters NES game that people still play. Sega Genesis one, which was really good. This was just a mod ROM hack that somebody did on the NES, change a few things graphically just to make it a little more aesthetically pleasing. Now, this is the arcade game. This is not the artwork for that game. I cannot find good artwork for the arcade itself at all. So I use this. Harvest Moon collection, because first Harvest Moon I ever played was on the Nintendo 64, which doesn't really play well on here, and I love that game to death. So wanted to go back and try playing other games. This is my Kirby folder. Gotta have my Kirby. Now, I've only recently been going through his games. As you can tell, if you watching my channel, I did a Let's Play of the first game. I have a Let's Play recorded of the second game that will be starting Monday, actually. And so yeah, I'm excited to really play these. This is a homebrew that somebody did of a Kirby game, which it will be interesting to try out. I haven't really dived too far into it. So as you can see, I try to get the nicest copies of box art as I can. Now, I have not played the series, but I heard it was good, so I'm gonna try. I'm gonna give it a shot. I want to explore and try new things. As you can see, there's my Marvel folder, and I've never played a whole lot of Marvel games, but I know other people did. So this will be a lot of fun to sit here and go through them. I know some of these were really popular. Now, Marvel superheroes, I remember playing in the arcades. Marvel vs. Street Fighter is another one I remember in the arcades. Marvel vs. Capcom, I think we all know that. Ultimate Alliance I had on the 360. The Punisher is an awesome beat-em-up arcade that I've actually done a Let's Play. I loved that. I thought it was a lot of fun. Now, here's my Spider-Man folder. I had this on the N64, and I loved that game. But again, the 64 games don't run on here. And there was a sequel to it that I never got to play, which is a PlayStation exclusive. Oh, I went too far. Sorry. And of course, here's my X-Men folder, which you gotta love based on that 90s cartoon. X-Men Arcade. We did a Let's Play of that when we did our tribute to Stan Lee, talking about how awesome he was when he passed away. It'll be fun to dive into a lot of these. I'm always looking for new comic book games to play. And Mega Man. Now, this is probably the most in-depth folder, and you're going to see why. So, of course, this is the Mega Man folder, and everything dedicated to the original Blue Bomber that is here. This is, one of the few I forgot to put it in parentheses. This is a translated version, as the Super Nintendo version never came out in the U.S. And there is a difference graphically between the two. I would prefer the Super Nintendo version, but I want both on there just because I want the legit US version too. Arcade game. I always love these arcade games when I got a chance to play them. never got to play 7, so I'm really happy that I have that. Although I do own the Mega Man collections on Xbox One, so I have multiple ways of playing it. I also have it for the GameCube, the Mega Man collection. Same with 8. And actually, I never got to own a Mega Man game outside of the first one, and I loved the first one. So that would be fun. Mega Man Soccer. Oh man, I played the heck out of that growing up. Well, I should say growing up, in high school, middle school. I did a Let's Play of Mega Man 2 off of this, and I like the graphics, but it plays sluggish to me. But now, this is where we get into all the different subcategories. So this is fan games, meaning this is fan games for Mega Man games. And I got 3 on here so far. There's others I want to add. But I did a Let's Play of this, Mega Man in the Mushroom Kingdom, and that was just a lot of goofy fun going through different Mario base levels. Mega Man Reloaded is kind of a really, really difficult version of Mega Man. And same thing with Rockman 4 minus Infinity. It's all redone, harder. It's just meant to be more challenging, so they're all just ROM hacks. Mega Man Battle Network. And I don't know, I was always put off by the NT games just because I don't know. I was so used to what Mega Man and Mega Man X were that when they introduced NT, I was like, no, continue that the original continuity. I don't want this internet stuff. But I really need to get rid of those blinders. Legends, I never played just because I didn't like the look of it. But I hear they're so good that I need to. So I need to get over myself on that too. Mega Man Star Force. I have not even heard of this until recent years. Like I never knew this existed. And even then, when I first heard of it, I thought it was just like from the comics, and then I found out there's actually a game of it. So, holy crap. That'll be interesting to dive into. I don't know anything about it. And then, of course, there's my Mega Man X. X, my boy. Now, I love Mega Man X series. This was a ROM hack, so I forgot I don't have a fan folder in here yet, which I probably should do. So basically, all that is it's a ROM hack where you play as Proto Man throughout the X1 game, and the story's changed a little to fit him. Gameplay is a little different. It actually was really good. I did a Let's Play of that as well. Yes, as you can see, I do not have PlayStation X3 version on here, and I just don't have it. Of course, we have Zero and ZX, finishing off the saga. And then, of course, we have the Metroid series. How can you not have Metroid on a Nintendo system? So I got every version that I could get on here. And, of course, I have a fan made. Now, I know there are ROM hacks. This one is extremely well received. This is a complete homebrew prequel to the original Metroid. The person just went all out making this amazing like the first one. So, and this is a 16-bit version of Zero Mission. So that's really cool that not only can you play different systems, you can play people's, fan games, so to speak, on here. So of course, gotta have a little bit of Power Rangers. I thought this was an underrated fighter. It was a lot of fun. Was it the best? No, it was a little simple. Not a huge roster, but I had a lot of fun with it. So I'm glad But it was always hard for me to find for purchase reasons or what purchase wise. Renting it wasn't an issue, but now and of course I have 3 folders for miscellaneous games. Just that you know really was kind of hard to put a subcategory. As you can see, I got Game Boy Advance, as you've seen already, Super Nintendo, TurboGrafx, Genesis, arcades. Never liked the NES game Bionic Commando, but I love the arcade game. Go figure. Arguably the best version of Earthworm Jim there is. That's right, Sega CD. This is translated. I don't think that's translated. I don't think there was a need to translate it. I just don't think it was a US game. This is not translated, but it is not in English. Let's see. I never got to beat this game. This was a tough game, but I always had me and my brother grew up and we just had so much fun playing this. This is another one I never got to beat, but again, this was just a tough game for me, but it was a lot of fun. Played the crap out of it. Enough said on that one, right? Yep. Now, I actually heard after I added this that this won't actually run, or at least you can't get very far into it before it crashes. But I think they just recently got a workaround, but for the longest time you couldn't do it. This, I feel like, was a very obscure game. I had somebody in the family buy this, and they were really never got a chance to play it, and it ended up just going to me, and I ended up playing a lot of it to the point where I actually got to beat it, and I thought it was fun because it was different and it was unique. It's basically this RPG story adventure in the style that's actually a pinball game. So this is a difficult arcade, but it's a lot of fun. I'm going to do a let's play of that. SimCity, I can't tell you how many hours I sunk into that. Still have yet to try this. Can't wait to, actually. You're probably going, why there's just so many different versions of Strider? But because they're on such different generations, they feel like different games, and each one is actually really good. So never released in the US, which is a shame because the US Back to the Future games we got were not good. All right, so now we're getting into role players, and you'll see why I had to split this into two. You're really not supposed to have, if you want for optimum running, you really shouldn't have more than 30, 35 games, I think, down at the bottom in any one directory. And so I really had to break it up. But I was a latecomer, late bloomer when it came to RPGs. So I have so much to catch up on. This is translated. Same as that, I believe. No, not that. Sorry. That is. I'm just excited. Like, Alundra's one I'm really looking forward to playing, trying out. No, that's translated. Translated. So yeah, I'm really excited to play a lot of these. Obviously, they wouldn't be there if I didn't want to try them out. I didn't sit here and put entire libraries on here because I put things that people talked about, recommended, or that I personally have played. So this is an RPG folder dedicated to things I have series of. Breath of Fire. And for certain things, yes, I did put different versions of the game. Because graphically, games do change when they do different ports, and it adds something or subtracts something from the story depending on what version you're playing. Oh man, now this. Lots of Dragon Quest. I did translated versions, as you can see. That's the translated version. So now you got my Final Fantasy folder. And right off the bat, you do see I have one fan-made game in here. I think there was a prequel to 6. Or a continuation, a sequel. And yes, I have different versions of some of the games just because, again, they add something different. Or sometimes I had to specify, one was the Japanese version of, because their numbering is not the same in the US as it was in Japan, so, you know, that should be the Japan 4, whereas this is the American 4. And I believe that is there is a difference between these. Now I'm trying to remember. I think one was originally a US release. One's translated. Fire Emblem, of course. This is actually a translation because that never made it to the US. Now, Little CD loves the series, so I'm anxious to try it. My brother likes the Golden Sun series, so I'm anxious to try that. Kingdom Hearts is a series that I greatly enjoy and need to catch up on. Still need to get 3 that just came out. Lunar is one Days Over at Stonebeak introduced me to, and soon as I saw it and he told me about it, I knew I was gonna be hooked, and I was, and so glad that he did a let's play of that, and I think it's still going, and so good. And yeah, I had to do the different versions because it seemed like it started on the Sega CD, And then a definitive edition got put on the PlayStation. And then, so there's the first one. And then there's even a port to the Game Boy Advance, which every one sets a different tone. It was really interesting because I watched the intro to all of them, and they do something different, which is interesting. They don't think they're changing the story, but they kind of are. This is different games in the Mana series. Secret of Mana, I played. I had every single thing maxed out, and then I lent it to a friend and my system, and his little brother erased it, and it was an accident, but it was just so depressing when you had it all maxed. Phantasy Star is one I've heard a lot about, but I have yet to get to try to play it, so I look forward to doing that. Pokemon. Holy. As you can see, there's a lot. Now, I own a lot of these, but it's nice to have them, but honestly, am I going to sit here and replay all these different versions? No. And now, I'm not talking about Ranger and all them. I'm just talking about the main series like Platinum and all that, blah, blah. However, there is, we'll see it in a little bit. So there are fan-made games for Pokemon. And the one I want to play first and foremost is Shiny Gold Sigma, which, holy moly, they did so much to it. It's a complete homebrew ROM hack of Fire Red, and they added every single Pokemon that they could up to that generation, the Game Boy Advance generation, plus some from future generations, all regions, all legendaries, and they're not just there willy-nilly in the wild. I mean, they introduced events to get some of the ones that were exclusive, like to go into GameStop or what have you. I mean, they went all out. They invented stones for ones you normally would have had to trade for to make them evolve and stuff like that. Every version of a Pokemon, you never have to trade, you never have to enter a cheat. Like, everything is in this game. And there's either story bits for it or what have. There's everything was made to flow. I'm so excited. And these are different, kind of the similar things that there's it's supposed to be every Pokemon in that one or something, and that's supposed to be a full Pokédex. Yeah, so I mean, there's different variations, but the Shiny Gold Sigma one is the elite one. The Tales of series is another series that I've been wanting to really explore. I started streaming Tales of Fantasia. I did the Super Nintendo version, which I have translated. Although, as you can see, I have the Game Boy Advance version as well, which is the official US release. And so far, I'm loving the Super Nintendo version. Like, it's just so good. And we have the East series. Again, just translating where I can. Different versions for different reasons. Sonic. Now, I love the folder for Sonic that I have used. Now, some of these depress me a little because I just cannot get appropriate box art. So, like, this is supposed to be... This is actually Sonic the Hedgehog and Sonic and Knuckles, but I couldn't find a box art to reflect that. So that kind of bummed me out, but Yeah, and then I just put the standalone games as well, so. I put what I could of Spyro the Dragon. Now, Star Trek games I didn't play too much of, but I wanted to explore more. Now, I did play Starfleet Academy a lot on the Super Nintendo, and I really enjoyed it. But I also had it on the PC, wow. Let me just say, variations on what this game is really like they are drastic. I played this as well a lot on the Super Nintendo. I was determined to beat it, which is one of the reasons I played it so much. But I also did have fun with the space combat part of it. It's just a fun game. I liked it. Sure, it's not all very Star Trek-y at times, but I had fun with it. Of course, we get into Star Wars. And, you know, Star Wars has its share of ups and down titles. I have yet to play all of these, so... Unfortunately, Jedi Power Battles, the PlayStation version, does not run, which is the version that I own legit and love. I had the PC version of this, definitely trumps anything, but since I can't get that working, it'll be fun to go back and see how the Game Boy Color version stacks up. I know these are reputed for being really good. You know, I never played them as a kid or young teen or whatever, and I was a late bloomer getting into Star Wars, so love the Street Fighter folder, by the way. Different versions of these two, just because there was stuff cut from the Super Nintendo version. Love the Mario photos. See, a lot of my best folders are back here. Now these two were tough, or actually these three. I wasn't sure. Do these go under Mario or do they go under Donkey Kong? This I don't know. I didn't know, but ultimately, so it starts with the name Mario, so they went in Mario folders. I have yet to get to play that. I will. Now, here we get into several homebrews and ROM hack versions of Mario that are a lot of them are well reputed, I should say. Some of them did not have very good cover art made for them, but I can't help that. I know this. I know these three are like the big three when it comes to homebrews, like are perfection. Especially Second Reality Project Reloaded. Like the artwork is just ridiculously incredible. And then of course you got your Wario games. Which I need to give a shot because I never really. I don't know. Wario was a little off-putting to me. I don't know why. And of course, now we get into Ninja Turtles, another franchise I absolutely love and played the crap out of, including this game here. One of the hardest games I've ever beaten and played. I love it. This one I just played to death. I love the arcade game. I played it so much. I cannot beat this game for the life of me. I have tried so many times. This is another one I really enjoyed. This is a tough one too that I really didn't play a whole lot of for some reason. Played the heck out of this, love it. Same for this one, love it, beat it. It's just so good. This one I finally did a let's play of not long ago, and I love it. Out of these three, love the art for this, but like the difficulty just ramps up way too much for me, and the controls are eh. Super Nintendo version is the one I love the most. This is the one I really. This is the one I own. This is the one that I was like I'm in love with. This is a ROM hack that somebody did where they added a bunch of different little features and just kind of pulled the Street Fighter, giving them more colors and options and things like that. And what little I played of it was actually really good. Very well done. Turtles in Time, great arcade. You might be wondering why I don't have the first one on here, and that's because I own it legit on the Xbox 360. And I know these are reputed for not being the best games, but I grew up with them, especially Royal Rumble. I played the heck out of it, loved it. Two arcade games that I remember seeing and playing a lot of, and I really enjoyed them. They're fond memories. WrestleMania the arcade I played a lot of. And then, of course, the final folder. I love the artwork on that folder, by the way. Yu-Gi-Oh! Now, you're probably wondering, like, why do I need all these Yu-Gi-Oh! Games when they're pretty much all going to be the same? Just limited selection of cards, and you can put a code in for a card to there's a series of numbers printed on a legit card, and if you put it in the system in the game, you can unlock that card, which I thought was really cool and clever of them to do that. I liked the way they made you doing the real life version actually beneficial to the video game. This was my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh game. I loved the RPG element of it. I liked going around with the God cards. It was just a lot of fun. That was just favorite. I liked how they did that. I wish they did more of that. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what is on my Super Nintendo Mini. Hopefully I didn't bore you all. I like talking about them, just memories and stuff, but I didn't want to keep the video too long, which obviously apparently I did. But it is what it is, and I'm actually really happy about the video, and I hope you guys really enjoy just looking at the different things and seeing the setups and the different folders you can get. And yeah, so until next time, I'm Card Dreamer, coming at you on behalf of D-Class. Thank you all for watching. Please hit the like and subscribe button, and leave your comments down below what you thought. If there's games that you feel I'm missing I should add, or there's games that maybe you're going to try now that you see them on here and didn't realize they existed. Let me know in your comments below, and until next time, stay evil.